Have you ever been walking down a familiar street, only to suddenly feel like everything is wrong? The buildings look different, the people are dressed in old-fashioned clothes, and the air itself feels charged with an unfamiliar energy. Then, just as quickly as it began, you blink, and everything snaps back to normal. If this sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, you might be surprised to learn that countless people claim to have experienced this exact phenomenon, known as a time slip. Welcome back to the Bizarre Bureau, where today we're peeling back the layers of reality to investigate one of the most baffling mysteries of our time. When people fall out of reality. Let's travel back to October 1979. Two English couples, the Simpsons and the Gispies, were driving through France on their way to a vacation in Spain. Looking for a place to stay for the night, they turned off the main road and found a quaint, old-fashioned hotel. The building had a rustic charm. The rooms were simple with no modern amenities like phones or TVs, and the other guests were dressed in what looked like 19th century attire. They chalked it up to a themed hotel, enjoyed a strange but pleasant dinner, and went to bed. The next morning, they paid their bill a surprisingly small amount and continued their journey. It was only on their return trip, when they tried to find the same charming hotel, that things got weird. It was gone. Not just closed down, but completely vanished. In its place was nothing but empty fields. The photographs they had taken during their stay were inexplicably blank. It was as if their night at the hotel had never happened. This is perhaps one of the most famous alleged time slip cases, often called the Macon time slip. So, what exactly is a time slip? In simple terms, it's a spontaneous temporary journey through time. Unlike the deliberate travel we see in movies with fancy machines, a time slip is an accidental and often disorienting event where a person or a group of people find themselves momentarily transported to the past, or far more rarely the future. These experiences are typically brief, lasting from a few seconds to several hours, and the person experiencing it often feels a sense of unreality or detachment, as if they're watching a film. When they return to their own time, they're often left confused and questioning their own sanity. One of the hotspots for these temporal anomalies seems to be Bold Street in Liverpool, England. This street has become so notorious for time slips that it's practically a local legend. Countless shoppers and locals have reported similar, bewildering experiences. A common story involves someone walking down the bustling modern street, only to suddenly find themselves surrounded by cobblestones, horse-drawn carriages, and people in Victorian or Edwardian clothing. One man claimed he was about to enter a modern bookstore when he suddenly saw a 1950s-style shop in its place, with a sign that read Crips. Confused, he turned away for a moment, and when he looked back, the modern bookstore was there again. Later research revealed that a store named Crips did, in fact, exist at that exact location in the 1950s. Another compelling account comes from a police officer who, in 1996, was walking his beat on Bold Street. He reported seeing the street transform before his eyes. Modern cars were replaced by vintage models, and the clothing store he was passing by morphed into an old-fashioned drapery. He even saw a woman in 1950s clothing look at him strangely, as if he were the one out of place. The experience was so vivid and unsettling that he filed an official report about it. What makes the Bold Street cases so fascinating is their consistency. People from different walks of life, with no connection to each other, report seeing the same vintage shops and the same old-fashioned scenes, all in the same geographical area. So what could possibly be causing these strange occurrences? Let's dive into some of the theories, starting with the psychological. Skeptics often point to simple explanations like misinterpretation, vivid daydreams, or false memories. Our brains are incredibly powerful, but also notoriously unreliable. It's possible that a familiar place, seen in a different light or from an unusual angle, could trigger a sort of waking dream or a feeling of jamais vu, the opposite of déjà vu, where something familiar feels strangely new. Stress, fatigue, or even certain atmospheric conditions could prime the brain to have these brief hallucinatory episodes. For example, could the couples in France have been so tired from their long drive that their minds collectively constructed a shared dreamlike memory of the hotel. It's a plausible explanation, but it doesn't fully account for the specific, verifiable historical details that people often report, like the name of the crypt store on Bold Street. Moving into more speculative territory, we have the physics-based theories. Some physicists and paranormal researchers propose that time isn't a straight, linear path like a river. Instead, it might be more like a folded landscape, with different points in time past, present, and future existing side by side, separated by a thin veil. Under certain unknown conditions, this veil might weaken, allowing a person to momentarily slip from one point in time to another. These weak spots could be linked to powerful magnetic fields, geological fault lines, or even intense emotional energy. This block universe theory suggests that all of time exists simultaneously, and our consciousness simply moves through it. A time slip, then, would be our consciousness taking an accidental detour. This idea is fascinating because it fits with Einstein's theories of relativity, which show that time is not constant and can be warped by gravity and speed. Could there be naturally occurring time warps on Earth? Another popular theory is the idea of residual haunting, or the stone tape theory. This concept suggests that powerful emotional events, both tragic and joyful, can imprint themselves onto the physical environment, like a recording on a videotape. Stone, water, and other materials in the area could act as the recording medium. Under the right conditions, a sensitive person might be able to play back this recording, experiencing the sights, sounds, and even smells of a past event. This wouldn't be a true journey through time, but rather an immersive, three-dimensional ghost of a memory. This could explain why many time slips are purely observational. People feel like they are invisible onlookers, unable to interact with the past environment. They see the horse-drawn carriage, but it doesn't see them. This fits perfectly with the idea of watching a playback rather than actually being there. However, it doesn't explain cases like the one in France, where the couples allegedly interacted with the past, eating dinner and paying a bill. Perhaps the most mind-bending theory is that of parallel universes. The multiverse theory posits that our universe is just one of an infinite number of parallel realities. Every possible outcome of every event creates a new branching universe. A time slip in this context might not be a journey into our own past, but a brief, accidental crossing into a parallel universe that is slightly out of sync with our own universe where it's still 1950, or where a different history unfolded. This could explain the feeling of profound strangeness and the subtle differences people notice, like a building being in the wrong place or a street having a different name. You're not in your past. You're in someone else's present. This is a truly wild idea, but in the world of theoretical physics, it's a concept that's taken very seriously. What's truly captivating about the time slip phenomenon is how personal and mundane it often is. These aren't grand historical events. They're small, intimate glitches in the fabric of everyday life. A woman in Virginia walking into a department store and finding it filled with Civil War-era supplies and wounded soldiers. A man stopping for directions and getting them from someone in a 1920s automobile that promptly vanishes. These stories feel real because they are grounded in our own reality, which makes the unexplained elements all the more chilling. They suggest that the firm, reliable world we navigate every day might be more fragile and fluid than we could ever imagine. The past may not be gone. It might just be around the corner, waiting for you to take a wrong turn on a familiar street. Whether these experiences are tricks of the mind, glimpses into the past, or brief visits to another dimension, they serve as a powerful reminder of how little we truly understand about time and consciousness. They challenge our perception of a linear, predictable reality and open up a universe of possibilities. So the next time you feel a sudden chill, or the world around you seems to flicker and change, take a good look. You might just be having your very own time slip. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the cracks in time. What do you think is behind the time slip phenomenon? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into the unknown, Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Bizarre Bureau for more explorations of the world's greatest mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and question everything.